And good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Dr. Chris Roddenberry coming to you live. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my phone just fell over. Coming to you live from Western New York at the Chautauqua Institution. Hope everybody's doing well. How are y'all doing today? Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, if you are in the house, go ahead and type a hello and tell me how you doing. Hey, what's up, Matt? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Thanks for coming last night. I do appreciate that. It's always good to see you. Yeah, everything's going well. How about you, man? You got plans for the weekend, Matt? What you gonna do? Tell me something good. I'm hoping to go to a brewery and get some to this outdoor brewery that has live music this weekend. Big Inlet Brewery up here. Go listen to some bluegrass country music and drink some good beer. So that's my plan for the weekend. I don't know if you have anything good going on. Hey, what's up, Dimitro? Thanks for joining us. Good to see you, man. I was just telling Matt that my plan for the weekend is to go to the Big Inlet Brewery up here and listen to some bluegrass music and drink some Big Inlet beer. Wow. Okay, Matt's in Florida going to visit Mickey. Oh my God, that is the craziest place in the entire world. Keep a hold of your wallet, man. They are going to grab that wallet and keep taking every bit of money they can get out of it, Matt. Fantastic. So, did you grow up in Orlando, Matt? Actually, a lot of my brothers and sisters did. I wasn't born then. I've got like this big blended family, and a lot of my family grew up in the Orlando and Gainesville area. And so I always used to have to go back there as a kid. Every summer we'd go back to Disney World. Disney World's cool the first 10 times you do it, but after a while it gets kind of old. And every summer it's like, oh, we're going back to Disney again. Fabulous. I hope you're having fun. Ooh, looks like we got 4 people in here besides Matt and Dimitro. Who else is on the line? Do we have who else is Johanna? Are you in here as well? Usually you're one of my people. If anybody else wants to type in the chat bar. Cool. Well, have a good time in Florida and be safe, right? By the way, Dimitro, have you taken your daughter to Disney World yet? That's one of those places that you like all parents have to take their kid. Have you been that person to take your kid to Disney World? You have to go give Mickey several $1,000. I'd be curious to see that. Okay, good morning, Johanna. Great. All right, so we're going to finish up with positive psychology today. We talked yesterday about positive subjective experience. So I suggested to you, and hopefully you can hear me. Oh, you have done it. All right, good for you. You've paid the toll, Dimitro. Fantastic. What a good American. All right, so if you remember yesterday, we talked about positive psychology. I said that positive psychology is the branch of psychology that focuses on the qualities that allow human beings to flourish. If you remember, I suggested to you that most of the history of psychology is directed towards the negative aspects of human psychological functioning: fear, anxiety, mental illness, and all of the negative characteristics of human psychological functioning. Positive psychology was created as a counterbalance to that to that approach. And instead of asking the question, why are people sick? Why do people have this problem? The positive psychologist asks, what are the qualities that allow human beings to flourish, experience well-being, and be as happy as possible? What are the things that allow human beings to perform at the top of their functional abilities? Now, yesterday we talked about positive subjective experiences. One of the things that that these psychologists are interested in is positive subjective experiences, good moods, being happy, good emotions. What are the impacts and how are these things created? Today, we're going to talk about positive individual traits. So, dispositional qualities that account for why some people are happy and psychologically healthier than others. And we're going to talk briefly about 4 different traits that have been the focus of this study: hope, resilience, grit, and gratitude. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let me go ahead and come back. So let's talk about the first one, hope. Now, if you would, hope is people's expectations that their goals can be achieved in the future. There are 2 sort of components of this. Agency is a belief in your ability, your strength to do something, And then pathways are the paths that you can see to engage in whatever activity it is you want to engage in. So, in order to have hope, you've got to have the strength in yourself that you feel like you can do it, and you've also got to be able to see a pathway for going to that direction. So, you may be the smartest mathematical person in the whole world. You may have all kinds of agency. But if you live in a poor country where you can't get to school and you can't get the formal degree and the credentials and you can't get to the business places to find to achieve that, then you don't have any hope. You may have agency, but you don't have the pathway. On the other hand, some people have all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of pathways, but they don't feel like they can do it themselves. They don't have a sense of agency. So, what I'd like to show you here, and this is a questionnaire that I think would be interesting for you to take, is the trait hope scale. And it sort of possesses both of these dimensions, and it can indicate a degree of hope that you have. So, are you a hopeful person? Do you have good expectations about your future outcomes? I can't tell you how many times I talk to students who do not seem to have a sense of hope. Most of them feel like what they're doing in school is not going to lead to a degree. They don't see a pathway that leads them in their direction that they want to go. Yes, I'm taking school, but I just don't see myself ever getting to this place. And some of my students don't have hope because they don't see a pathway. Other students tell me that I just can't do this. They'll come in, they'll take the class, maybe they'll even drop it twice. And when things get difficult, they bail out on me and they tell me, Chris, I can't do this. I don't feel like I can do this. They don't have a sense of pathways. So what I want you to do is to take this questionnaire on your own time, go back to your textbook, and it'll give you the instructions for evaluating your scores and see how you are in terms of having this quality of hope in your personality. What are the benefits of hope? You know what? People with hope have more positive emotions. And if we go back earlier in the semester when we talk about well-being, one of the characteristics of well-being is having positive emotions. People who have hope expect to be better off in the future. They have more positive cognitions about themselves. These are the people that believe they will be able to handle stress better. If you remember when we talked about dealing with stress, I suggested to you that dealing with stress is sort of this 2-step process. Yes, we've discovered the stressor, but then we discover whether or not we have the resources to overcome that stressor. People with hope have more confidence that they can overcome stressors, so stress is less challenging to people with hope. People with hope are in a positive mood. Remember yesterday I talked to you about positive mood and how it makes us a more flexible, quicker thinker. People with hope have more positive moods, and so they're more flexible thinkers. And people with a sense of hope, because they have this positivity, because they have these positive orientations, they are able to achieve more social support. Now, look around the world and you're going to see that you have some friends that don't have a sense of hope. And I hope that each and one of you is like me and has a sense of hope, a sense of agency, a personal power that you can do what it is you want to do, and that you actually can see a direction leading to what it is you want to do. If you have hope, you're going to have better emotions, better social reactions. You're going to handle stress better, and you're probably going to wind up being more successful in your adult life. Hope. Let me go ahead and just disappear myself. Okay, resilience. Now, the thing is, bad things are going to happen to you. Unfortunately, that is the way life goes. There are negative events in life. So I will tell you, I remember back when I was 43, I was obese. I was 215 pounds at 5'6". I was a short little round guy. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor placed a bunch of challenges in front of me. Holy cow, you got high cholesterol, you've got high sugar, your blood pressure is high, all of your numbers are high. Chris, you need to change this. And so they challenged me, and pretty scary, the doctor wanted to put me on a bunch of medication. I went to the gym and I worked out and I got myself in fabulous, fantastic shape. I lost 55 pounds. I built up a bunch of strength. I was eating right. Everything was going perfectly for me. And then, holy cow, I get a sore throat that won't go away. And I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you've got throat cancer. Bam! You know what I mean? That was just after all this work, I'd just been shot down, and I got knocked down by a life event. And then I had to go through chemotherapy and radiation therapy, and I lost 40 more pounds, and I was down to 130 pounds, which as a grown man is not a healthy weight. And so it was a real challenge to me. Now, here's the deal. I managed to recover. I got it in my mind that I was going to fight that cancer. And in fact, I went out and bought a pair of cowboy boots. I said, I'm going to die in my cowboy boots. In a sense, what I think I was now demonstrating was a bit of resilience. It was my ability to recover and prosper following a consequential life event. Now, I'm not saying that getting cancer, it's not nearly as bad as some of the other horrible things that probably you folks have chased. And I don't mean to minimize what each and every one of you may or may not have experienced, but resilience is the quality that allows some people to overcome these challenges. Some people, when they meet challenges or bad things happen in life, these people give up and quit, and other people don't. And so this quality that allows people not to quit and give up is known as resilience. And you know, one of the things that you're even going to find is some people who have a lot of resilience, when something really bad happens to them, they actually take that negative thing and turn it into a positive and use it to actually strengthen their ego and their personality. And this is called post-traumatic growth. And if you look at this chart that I've got right here, they talk about the perceptual, relationship, and life priority changes that happen as a function of these post-traumatic experiences that happen to some people. Now, this does not mean that I want each and every one of you to suffer a post-traumatic experience, a traumatic experience. This does not mean that I'm going to say good if you were assaulted or sexually assaulted or abused. I don't mean to say that's a good thing and you should enjoy that. But there are some people who are able to rebound after these horrific, horrible events. And these cause people to sort of change in very characteristic ways, in the ways they perceive things, their relationships that they have, and actually their priorities that they have, you know. And so if you look right here, this is going to show you some of these terms. So people who beat these traumatic events and have a feeling of resilience and recover, you know what, sometimes they actually, instead of thinking about a victim, they think of themselves as a victor, as a survivor, somebody who's beat a challenge. Then it makes them feel strong and confident about themselves. If I could overcome this challenge, holy cow, what other challenges could I overcome? When I lost 55 pounds because I was really fat and the doctor wanted to put me on medication, I overcame that challenge and I felt good about myself. And then I got cancer and I went through radiation and chemo, and it was the worst torture I've ever been in for 3 months of my life. But then I came out the other side healthy, and it made me feel even more strong. And now at 55, I feel like I could beat the world. Even though I probably can't, I still have this strength that I am a survivor. And this is sort of the experience that can happen to some people who experience these traumatic events. Actually, everybody was so wonderful in caring for me that I realized how valuable that was and how it helped me through this difficult time. I would say it's made me more sensitive to other people's needs in times of challenge. Maybe I'm more compassionate. I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying that and I'm still the same selfish asshole. I don't know. But I do feel like I am closer to people now as a result of surviving cancer. And I'll be quite honest right now, it changed my priorities 100%. I'd always been talking about traveling and getting outside the United States. And I'd even bought a passport, but I had never gone anywhere. Can you believe that, Dimitro? 52 years old, educated with money, and had never left the United States. When I got better, when I finally got over and started to feel a little bit better and gain a little weight after that cancer treatment, I started making plans for trips. And I said, you know what? My life priorities are going to change. I might die in the next 5 years. I might die in the next 10 years, but I'm not going to die without going overseas. And so I've actually been to 5 different countries this year alone. Colombia, Mexico, Spain, Portugal, and Germany. That's all these things that I've been putting off my whole entire life. But my life priority changed after the cancer hit me, and I realized that I had been missing out on something that I wanted to do. So resilience, each and every one of us is going to meet a challenge at some point in your life, and then we're going to find out if you have resilience. Now, people who have hope are probably more likely to have resilience. People with resilience are probably going to be more likely to have hope. But both of these things work to kind of boost each other up. And these are positive human traits that allow you to be more effective and happier. Now, what are 10 strategies for cultivating your level of resilience? I don't know how you're going to cultivate your own level of resilience. I don't know where mine came from, how I cultivated it. I do remember there was a time when I wanted to quit and give up. And I remember I wanted to quit and give up in school, in college. When I got my master's, I wanted to give up. When I got my undergraduate, I wanted to give up. And I had my wife pushing me the whole time. And she sort of taught me a sense of resilience. I don't know where it comes from, but if you can adopt these 10 mindsets or start working on having these 10 mindsets, they can help you build up a little bit of psychological resilience, okay? So hope, it's a trait that's going to keep you striving. It's going to give you a sense of direction. It's going to make you feel like there's a target in the future that you can find, you can point to, and you can achieve. But there are going to be setbacks along the way. Developing resilience is going to allow you to overcome and maybe even grow as a result of these setbacks. All right. Now, this lady named Angela Duckworth was interested in education and educational outcomes, and she was interested in the kinds of qualities that helped students challenge and persist in educational settings, right? Now, some students quit really easily. They don't try very hard. When school gets hard, they quit rather than doubling down and studying harder. Did any of you ever have a class in school that was overwhelmingly difficult and you didn't know what to do? I remember in 11th grade, it's the first time I ever took sort of a class that would remind me of a college level class. Up to this biology class I took, and it was at Cary High School. in 1985. Holy cow. I forget this teacher's name, but she was the biology teacher. And we took anatomy, and I guess was it an anatomy class? I think it was an anatomy class. And the first exam came up, and it was the first time that it wasn't a super easy exam. In fact, this was the hardest freaking exam I had ever taken. And the whole class failed the exam. And we came back, and afterwards, the teacher handed out the test and explained to us that we hadn't been working hard enough and that we would need to change our study abilities and our study practices if we were going to be good in college. And this teacher suggested to us that she was not going to make the tests any easier, but we were going to change and become better students, and this was going to help us. And so my first experience upon getting this failing grade in this 11th grade biology class was to quit. But this teacher encouraged us to develop a sense of grit, which was our ability to persevere and to achieve in this class. Even though we were challenged and we had failed this class, she made us believe that we could persevere, we could work hard enough, and we could improve our ability. How many of you have ever dropped a class because you just, after the first exam, because you did poorly on the class in the exam and you just said, well, I can't do this, and you just dropped that class? You don't have to mention it here, but I will tell you that I see it all the time as a teacher. I have these patterns of how students drop my class. And what usually happens is no student drops my class. They all like my personality and my teaching style. And so no students drop my class until the first exam. And as soon as the first exam or the first graded material happens, what I see is that there is a rash of students who quit. They get that negative feedback and they bail from the class. And I'll get a 3 to 4% bump or loss of my class students after the first exam. Exactly. And it's no big deal, Matt. I've done the same thing as well. We've all quit in the face of a difficult challenge, and that's completely fine. I don't mean to judge you. However, Angela Duckworth would say what you and I should try to do is to develop this quality called grit. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a professor with the PhD and I've had a successful career, but there are still lots of things, challenges that I meet that make me want to quit every day. All right, I have this new thing to fill out, this new paper to write, this new this or that, and I want to quit every day, but I force myself not to. And what Angela Duckworth says is that we need to become gritty people. The world is tough. There are lots of challenges. There's lots of failures. We have to learn how to persevere and have a passion for what it is we are doing. Okay? People who have grit have higher GPAs in school. And they did an experiment and showed that people with grit did better in grade school spelling bees. So grit is very important for your academic performance. I promise you, classes are only going to get harder. If you think this class is hard, I have a surprise for you. They are going to get much harder. Sometimes I'll get a student that'll come in and fail the first college test in my Psych 150, and they'll be like, oh my goodness, this is hard. And I'm like, no, this is easy. When you get to the end of your 4-year degree, you're going to look back and see my class for what it was, which is super duper easy. Every semester in college, I found at Carolina, my classes got harder. So I had to keep getting grittier and grittier because the challenges kept becoming more steep and more difficult, right? Now, what are the characteristics of a gritty person? I have a nifty little cartoon picture over here where she describes those qualities of gritty people. But gritty people have courage, conscientiousness. They have a desire and ability to follow through. They have resilience in the face of failure, and they have a desire to be good. Now, they're not perfectionists. There's a difference between being good and being perfect. If sometimes people who focus on being perfect get frozen because they can't be perfect, so they don't do anything. We don't want to worry about perfect. We want to be as good as we possibly can. All right. So, gritty people are not afraid to fail. Yeah, I know you failed that first test, but don't worry about it. You're going to do better. Some students are so afraid when they make a B or a C on the first exam that they're not going to do well in this class, that they'll fail. They're afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to fail. I fail each and every day. I'm always doing things that I fail at. And in fact, if I haven't failed in a while, I try to find something new to challenge me. Failure is important. Learning how to overcome that fear really, it will help you deal with the challenges of these difficult environments. Conscientiousness, man. You've got to be careful, painstaking, and meticulous. You have got to show up and put in your best effort. I can't tell you how many students don't put in their best effort and then get disappointed when they fail. Gritty people give their best effort. All right. Now, here's the deal. I knew I wanted to be a psychologist when I was in 8th grade. You know what? There were a lot of steps between 8th grade and my 30-year-old PhD, right? But I did not give up. I held that dream. People laughed at my dream. People thought I was ridiculous. People, when I was a 9th grader, telling them I was going to be a PhD psychologist, people didn't believe it. But you know what? I was prepared to follow through. Whatever it is, you've got to find it in your mind to say, I am going to do this. I am going to follow through. And then I'm going to be resilient. There will be setbacks. I remember I made a D in my second semester calculus class at UNC Chapel Hill. And that's when I realized I wasn't going to get the BS degree for psychology. I was going to get a Bachelor of Arts degree. You know what? Whatever. I didn't give up. I did not let that failure bring me down. And I would say, as a teacher right now, and this has been the hardest thing for me, is to develop this idea of being good while not having to be perfect. I remember when I got to UNC Chapel Hill as a 17-year-old freshman, I was afraid that I had to get perfect grades. I had to get straight A's. Was not going to be the case at Carolina. And this was the shock of my life. And I really had to understand the difference between being perfect and doing the best that I could do. And you know what? If you make some B's, an A, and maybe a C, you know what? You've still tried and done your best. You've tried to be excellent. And so what I want you to do is to think about these traits. Where could you be more courageous? Where could you be more conscientiousness? How could you find it more to be more stick-to-itive, follow through, have that follow-through personality? You know what? You're going to have to learn to deal with the failures and bounce back from them. And I want you to work on being good, but don't worry about being perfect. That's grit. And then finally, I want you to learn how to be thankful. I want you to learn how to be thankful. I can't tell you how many super successful people I know who are not thankful, who constantly bitch and complain about how hard their life is. They don't realize all the things that they have gotten, that they have been lucky to have, that they didn't have before. So you know what? When I got cancer, one way of thinking about that was to say, damn, that is the worst freaking luck I've ever had. That sucks. That is not fair. That is horrible, horrible, horrible. And you know what? For a week, that's what I thought. But then I decided to be thankful. You know what I was thankful for? I was thankful that I had insurance and a great team at UNC Chapel Hill, a cancer team to help me get better. I had a whole team. I was so thankful that I had a whole team to help me get over it. You know what? I had a nice wife and 2 nice sons who looked after me. I was thankful that I had support during my cancer battle. You know what? I could have said, I worked out and got in great shape, and now here's a piece of bad luck striking me down. Instead of saying that, I said, wow, I am so thankful that I am in good shape. It'll make it easier for me to fight this cancer battle. And then when I learned more about the cancer, I said to myself, I am thankful I got this cancer rather than another cancer. So I will tell you, when I was diagnosed with cancer in Christmas of 2020, in January of 2021, I became an incredibly thankful person. I was thankful that I had a great medical team. I was thankful that I had a great support structure at home. I was thankful that I was in good health. And so instead of having the mindset, holy cow, this sucks, this is so unfair that I have cancer, I was thankful for all the things I had in spite of having cancer. Now, what I want you to do, my friends, and this is hard, is I want you to look at your worst situation, whatever your biggest challenge is right now, and tell me what you are thankful for in this situation. I remember Jasmine, you remember Jasmine from webinars. She comes to class, the webinars. I don't know if she's here today, but Jasmine, she's on this military bill and she's supposed to get money from the government to help her go through school in college. If you remember in the class we talked about Wednesdays ago, was she was a budgeter. She figured out how to organize money to get through this difficult process. Now, what I love about that, when she told that story, is she found out what it was. She should have focused on how unfair it was. That's interesting. Has it gotten better? Tell me how the sound's going. Better, better, or worse? I do apologize for that. I'm not sure why my sound goes bad. I don't know. Let me know how the sound is. Any better? Better now? Okay, cool. All right, so the deal is, what I really liked about Jasmine is she could have focused on the fact that she was getting screwed over by the military, though it wasn't her fault. But she wasn't. Instead, she had a great attitude, and she said, I am so glad that I am really good at budgeting my money. So what I liked about Jasmine 5 weeks ago was, instead of being angry, she was grateful. She found something about her situation to be grateful about. Now, I'm not telling you that the situations you're suffering or you're going to suffer aren't bad. I am not going to tell you that. However, there is always something that could have been worse. There is some reason that you can be grateful. All right. And so what I want you to learn how to do is to learn how to focus on the good things in life and to be thankful for him. No matter how bad things are happening, they are making you a better person. You know what? I reconnected with a friend of mine from elementary school based on social media. Now, this guy, I knew him back when I was in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. You know what? This guy used to bully me all my life. He was a bully to me in elementary and middle school. And he caused me to cry a lot. And he picked on my girlfriends, and he picked on my schoolwork, and he picked on the way I dressed. And he really sort of made me feel bad. The crazy thing was, he forgot about what he did. And 30 years later, we reconnected on social media. And he said, hey, Chris, it's been a great time. I haven't seen you since grade school. And we, over the last several years, have become good friends. And I told him about a month ago, I said, you know, Dale, I don't know if you remember this, but you bullied me a lot as a kid. And he was shocked and embarrassed. And as he began to think about it, he remembered what he had done to me as a kid. And he felt really, really bad about it. And he wanted to be all apologetic. But you know what? I told Dale, I said, Dale, you know what? I'm actually thankful for you. I said, everybody needs somebody to toughen them up a little bit. And even though you were being mean to me, I am thankful for you because you made me a stronger, tougher person. If he did, if he didn't, I don't know. But the cool thing is, instead of looking back on that and being angry about it, I found a way to be thankful and grateful to this guy. And you know, the crazy thing is, I actually love Dale now, and I feel great about him because I've managed to reframe what happened in such a way that Dale doesn't cause me sadness, but he causes me joy. And I'm grateful to the torture that he gave me in fifth and sixth grade, right? And so here's the deal. Why should I worry about being thankful? For you know what? If you can reframe things and find ways to be thankful about what you do have, it's going to make it easier to connect with others. Nobody wants to be around a negative Nancy. If you are a positive person, it's going to help build those social connections. You know what? It's going to make you happier. You're going to experience positive affect. When we say you're happy, a psychologist will call that positive affect. If you're angry, it's negative affect. Affect is emotion. So you're going to experience extended positive affect. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel a sense of joy, and you're going to have that commitment to your tasks because you're not going to be in a negative mindset. And if you remember, we talked about well-being as the entire point, the goal of psychology, to help people experience greater well-being. People who are grateful also experience greater well-being. Now, here's what I would like for you to do. I would like for you to try writing and delivering a gratitude letter. Okay, so write somebody who's been helpful to you in the past several years and tell them how important they were in helping you. I promise you it will be the coolest thing you can possibly do. Write that letter, deliver it to them in person if you can. If you can't, I wouldn't worry so much about that. And then follow it up with a phone call and talk to them about it. And you will be surprised how that outpouring of gratitude on your part, it will make them feel good, all right? And it will also make you feel good. Crazy story, crazy story. I've been doing these online classes in the Wednesday webinars for probably about the last 15 years. And I remember I had a student probably 13 years ago in one of my online classes. And she came to webinar and she started out the class kind of quietly. But as the class wore on the Wednesday nights, she would start chatting more online with the rest of us. And she became really, really assertive in class. And I remember telling her one time, you know what, I think you're a really smart student. When you decide to apply to Duke University, come back, I'll write you a reference letter, right? Now, I just said that as a way to blow her up a little bit and make her feel good, and I completely forgot about it. She passed my class. 10 years later, I get this letter in the mail from this lady, and she says, you know what? I want to thank you for your online Psychology 150 class. I had bad anxiety problems when I first started school, and she said one of the neat things about your online class was I wasn't afraid to talk because nobody could see me. And she said you were very encouraging, and one of the things I remembered is that you told me that you would write me a reference letter to go to Duke University. And she said, you don't realize it, but you gave me so much confidence that I went on and had a successful career. And she said, I just graduated from NC State with my engineering PhD. And she said, I want to tell you that you were the one that really gave me the confidence to be a great student. And it has turned me into this person right now. And I was absolutely blown away that she took me the time to write me a gratitude letter. And it made me double down on my desire to help students from here on out. After I got that letter, I became even more interested in helping students, right? And she felt good about herself because she acknowledged something that had helped her grow. And so that letter of gratitude, I would say, probably impacted both of our lives in unimaginable ways. Now, I'm friends with her on social media, and I found that she's now got this fantastic industry position, and I guarantee you she makes probably 3 times what I make, and I'm so glad for her. And her name was Carol, and she's became so incredibly successful now. And but that letter of gratitude was important for her. It made her feel better, and it also brightened the world that she's a part of. So I would like for each and every one of you, think about somebody who's helped you out in the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. And if you can, take the moment to write that person and tell them how they helped you and why it was important. And reflect on that for a few minutes. So be grateful. Okay? So not only are we hopeful, right? Not only are we willing to persist in the face of failure, we're going to develop this sense of grit, this sense of being tough and being able to overcome all challenges. And then we're going to be a grateful person. Now, your book talks about other ways to achieve happiness. You know what? Telling people about cool things about you, telling them good stories that demonstrate your good qualities is often a very great way to build a sense of happiness and pride in yourself. You know, you don't be a braggart about it, but if you've done something that is good that helped people, like right now I just told you the story about the student I helped in school who wrote me that gratitude letter. That's a story illustrating the best of me. You know what? I get to shine and tell you my good stuff. Now, don't be a braggart. Don't be the person that always tells these stories about yourself. But you know what? Occasionally, it feels good to tell people about something you've done. Now, when somebody tells you a story about something good they've done, what you need to do is reinforce that by saying, wow, that's amazing. Give them the positive feedback. The value of sharing these good stories is that people validate us and make us feel good about doing the things that we should be doing. So, Demetra, what's a good story about you could tell us? Matt Moreta, what's a story you could tell us about yourself that demonstrates one of your strong qualities? The same thing with Johanna. What's a story you could tell me that would demonstrate a good quality of you? It's okay to do this. It's okay to do this occasionally. And the cool thing is when another person validates that you did the right thing. And so somebody in the chat bar should say, wow, Chris, I can't believe you gave that student hope. You're an awesome person. So type me a little validation in the chat bar and make me feel good about illustrating that story with you. And you know what? It's also good when good things happen to you, when you get good news, to capitalize by sharing that good news with other people. You got a scholarship, fantastic. Tell all the people you can. You're going on vacation, tell all the people you can. Matt is in Disney World right now. Whoop, whoop. That's awesome for Matt. Fantastic. Tell us that good news. Now, again, the good news, this works best when the person that you tell give you positive feedback. Now, if you tell haters and they want to bring you down, there are people in the world that don't like your good news. If you have friends that get angry and bitter and hate on you when you get good news, then you know what? You should get some different friends. So whenever something good happens to me, I love to tell my buddy Pete and Jim about it. And Pete and Jim are always happy for me. So their happiness for me builds our social bond and makes me feel good about myself. Now, I have some friends, when I tell them about my good things, they got a little bit bitter and angry. You know what? I don't need the haters. I get done with them. You should have a group of friends that like to hear about your good news. And more importantly, you need to be the kind of friend who celebrates their good news with them. So, be the kind of person that likes to celebrate the good news, the good things that happen to other people. And on the other hand, find yourself a group of people who like to celebrate your good news. So, my friend Pete and Jim, Pete's a banker and he's always getting these big bonuses from his work because he makes good money at this bank. And so, every time my friend Pete gets a huge $5 or $6 or $7,000 bonus, I celebrate him and we cheer for Pete. Go, Pete. Now, I could get angry and say, you know what? It's not fair that I'm a teacher and I don't get my bonus. But you know what? I celebrate Pete when the good things happen. My buddy Jim, his son, turns out to be a great baseball pitcher who can throw the ball 90 miles an hour. And his son got to go and play big time college ball for a Division I university. And he's getting interest from pro scouts. Now, I have two sons. Neither one of them was great enough to be a college baseball player like that. But what I do is I celebrate Jim every time his son does something good and he tells us. I celebrate him. I don't get angry about my sons. I celebrate Jim. And then I travel a lot because I teach online and I have my bills paid. I can travel a lot. So I'll go to Colombia and I'll call my friends Jim and Pete and say, hey guys, guess what? I'm in another country having fun. And hopefully they celebrate the good things that happen to me. So it's very good. Sharing news stories about yourself, fun events, does have some benefits, especially if you have a group of friends who will reinforce those behaviors and make you feel good about the good things that you do. And bizarrely enough, this guy, Dan Gilbert, who is, I think, who I would say is the preeminent positive psychology representative, researcher, has done some research looking at money and whether or not money equates to happiness. Now, what he finds is that money is positively correlated with happiness, but you know what? After a certain amount, it starts becoming less important. In fact, he says that money, the effects of having money on happiness start to top out at around $70,000 per year. So more money always makes you happier, but after you get about 70,000 a year, the change between 70,000 and 200,000, there's not that much change in happiness from those two people. Now, money doesn't necessarily make you happy, and spending money to buy things doesn't necessarily make you happy. However, this guy, Dan Gilbert, has found that there are different spending patterns that are associated with well-being and happiness. Okay, so people who buy experiences rather than things tend to be happier. So rather than buying a car, buy a vacation. Okay, the thing, the jacket, the clothes that you wear, these things are not going to make you as happy as the experience that you have. Go to that concert, go on that vacation, go on that boat ride, go to that play or that movie. Spend your money on experiences. Money spent that way does lead to happiness. And you know what? When you do spend your money, use it on small pleasures. Don't worry about, you don't have to buy that car to get happy. You can go buy yourself a stinking ice cream cone down at Baskin Robbins. You can go to Dunkin' Donuts and get yourself a funky glazed donut and a coffee, and that'll make you happy. Buy small pleasures. And he actually found that when people use money to buy gifts and things for other people, that makes them happy. So you know what? You can spend money. Money is not a bad thing, but you can use it in ways that promote happiness more easily than others. So if you're going to spend it on experiences rather than objects. Spend it on small things rather than big things, because the small things are going to make you just as happy as the big things. And when you can, buy gifts for other people. That will make you happy. In fact, one of the coolest things you can do is next time you go into the coffee store, buy the person behind you a cup of coffee. You will be surprised at how good that one small act of monetary kindness will do for you all day long. You will just feel absolutely great about yourself all day long, and the person that you bought the thing for will feel absolutely great all day long. So money can make you happy if you know how to spend it correctly, right? And if you want, you can be like this guy and buy yourself a fancy sports car. What the heck, right? Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about today. We are at 10:49. I want to thank everybody for coming. We've had a pretty good audience today. We've got 4 people in the audience still right now. Thank you very much. And we had 6 people at our highest level, which I want to thank you very much. 6 out of 23 people represents a sizable majority, a sizable minority of our class. And I want to thank everybody for being responsible, motivated students. I am very grateful. Now, I mentioned this last night, but I'm going to mention it again. There will be no webinar next week and no discussion board next week. Instead, you have to do the course evaluation and turn it into me. So you have to do the course evaluation where you tell me what you think of this class and submit it. When you submit it, you'll get a confirmation email. You send me that confirmation email and you will get credit for next week's discussion collaboration activity. In fact, if you want, you can even do the course evaluation today and submit it to me and already take care of next week's collaboration activity. You don't have to wait until tomorrow to do it. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Thank you very much for coming today. If you have any problems or questions, things you want to talk about, don't hesitate to send me a text as always, and I can help you. Take care and have a great day. And don't forget, be grateful. Bye.